Tomorrow, Ohioans will go to the polls to decide the future of Issue 1, a referendum that proposes an increase of the minimum threshold needed to pass amendments in the state constitution. This vote comes just about 3 months before Ohio voters will vote on a constitutional amendment preserving abortion access in the state. Many are calling this referendum an attempt by Ohio Republicans to move the goalposts just ahead of the abortion access vote. Joining me now is Katie Paris, founder of Red, Wine, and Blue, an advocacy group that opposes Issue 1. Thank you so much for being here, Ms. Paris. Let's talk about this. The polls are very clear. Do people support State Issue 1, which is, I believe, the issue about, putting abortion rights in the Constitution? Yes, it's about 2/3 of people do. Do you support the abortion rights amendment itself? 58%. Sorry. I'm sorry. 58% oppose Issue 1, which is the one that would make the threshold higher, and 2/3 about the same support abortion rights. Are you concerned that this won't pass, though, because of turnout and because it's summer?
Well, that is certainly what Republicans are counting on. And look, it's confusing, right? I mean, we've got to vote no in August before we vote yes in November to protect our reproductive rights. And there is no question that Ohioans do not support giving ourselves less of a voice. We would like to continue to have access to citizen-led ballot initiatives, as we have for 112 years, but just ahead of us passing reproductive rights, because Republicans know that we're going to do that too. All the polls show, like you said, about 2/3 of voters really support protecting our reproductive rights. 85% of independent women support this reproductive rights initiative. So they know that they will lose if it can pass under the current rules, which would just require a simple majority rules. Yeah. One person, one vote. So they're trying to change the rules. And I think that they know that they have something to worry about because those polls are very bad for them and turnout is very bad for them. They were expecting to have a quiet election in August where no one would notice. And instead, 700,000 people in Ohio have voted already. That is hundreds of thousands more than we saw who had voted early in the election that they held last year in August. And it's actually 150,000 more votes even than we saw in the May primary, which was a big deal last year in Ohio. It was the U.S. Senate primary, and it was a very competitive race. And we're even seeing more voting on that in August on an issue, on a ballot initiative issue. So I think that that is leading to some desperation on their side, to be sure.
And obviously there's a United States Senate race in November that would be on the same ballot with the abortion rights measure. So, I think Republicans probably understand that if you get more women and younger people to the polls, that's probably not good for them overall, right, in terms of their political desires. But has anyone expressed any reservation on the Republican side to you that you know of? Because it does feel like these are a bunch of men who are trying to strip women of their rights against the will of 2/3 of the state.
Yeah, no question about it. This is not really a partisan issue. I mean, people want to be able to have a voice in our democracy. And so it's interesting driving across the state. Sometimes you'll actually see Republican signs in someone's yard, even in some cases, Trump signs. But then they'll have a vote no on Issue 1 because they want to be able to have a direct voice in our democracy. So there's no question that this is bringing over lots of independents. It's a coalition, a cross-partisan coalition, and I think that that is making the vote yes people, the people who want us to have a little less of a voice, they want to take away majority rule, that's making them very nervous. So we're seeing a lot of disinformation out here on the ground, unfortunately, Joy.
Has there been any reaction, or what's your reaction to the fact that the women in Texas who sued the state of Texas, because in many cases they could have died or been left unable to ever have children again because their state essentially says even if you're going to give birth to a child with a non-formed cranium or a child that is already dead, you have to do it, even if you're a child yourself. They have won at least so far, but the attorney general there is still suing. He still wants people to be forced to essentially die in childbirth. What has been your reaction to kind of that playing out in another state?
I mean, the issue of reproductive freedom is going to continue to be an issue until we get our rights back. I mean, and it's because we are seeing stories like this play out. So many women, we have had complications in our pregnancies, or someone we know has, many people we know have. This is deeply personal. It's inhumane. Amanda Zarowski, one of the leading women in that case, she came and spoke with the women of Red Wine and Blue. There wasn't a dry eye in the House, and it also stiffened our backs because she doesn't want to see Ohio or any other state treat women the way that she's been treated in Texas. And so we are standing by her. We are standing up for her. And we're not going to let that happen anywhere else. And until politicians and pundits get the message that abortion is going to continue to be a motivating factor in these elections until we get their rights back, they're going to keep getting these elections all wrong.